Hey everyone, welcome back to our Interactable item series. In this episode, we'll be diving into creating power-ups using blueprints in Unreal Engine. Just a quick reminder, this tutorial builds off of our previous episode on random item spawning, so if you haven't seen that one yet, I highly recommend checking it out first. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more amazing content. Let's go ahead and get started. For this tutorial, we're going to create a few different item attributes that will affect the player, the environment, and we'll have a collectible that will update a number in the HUD so the player can see how many of that item have been collected. So to begin with, we're actually going to create an enumerator. This enumerator will be our power-up type, and that will be used in our item data to select what the item will actually do. So let's go ahead and go to blueprints, create an enumerator. We'll call this power type. Go ahead and open that up. And for this example, we're going to have three different power up types. We're going to have time. We're going to call it color. And then we're going to call it collect. Go ahead and save that. That's all we'll need here for now. Then go ahead and open up your item data. This is a structure, and we're going to add a variable here. This is going to be our power up. Then we'll select over here and find that power up type. Select that. Go ahead and save. Close that down. Now, when we go into our item, we now have the ability to change the power up. So we'll be able to affect the item and the player based on that power up. If we go over to our item data table, we now can come and add the power up here. Let's go ahead and make one of each here. Let's say the binoculars will be color. The barrel might be the collect. Doesn't really matter. This is just to show an example, and the box will be time. So when these are collected, we're going to have them affect our player and the environment. The first one let's actually work on is time. Let's go ahead. We'll create a function here, and we're going to call this get power type. And let's go ahead and add an input here. And this will be power up enum. Find that power up type enum. Compile, save that for now. We're going to come out here and we're going to say enum equal. And if this is equal to time, is what we actually want to do is go ahead and affect the global time, the global time dilation. And we're just going to do this one to test to make sure we can get this to work first. So if this is true, if the power up that comes in is equal to the time, then we're going to come here and we're going to say global time dilation. And let's say we want to go really slow time at first, just so we can see that it's working. Next, let's go back to our event graph. Let's make sure that the item here that we're getting is, we don't want to do random. We want to make sure it's going to be a time. So let's get rid of this for now. Let's actually just disconnect these for now. We'll maybe use them again here in a little bit. Break those, the row name. Let's check which item we had that had time. It was item 2, so we want to set this to item 2 for now. Go ahead, compile, save that. At the end of this, let's go ahead and pull this function out, get power up type, connect our power up type enum. So once the item is spawned here, where we should see the time slow down immediately without interacting first. And we do. So now our time slows down once the item has been spawned. That's not what we want to do. What we want to do is have it only affect our player or the environment or whatever the item is going to actually do, the power up is going to do. We want it to be after our player interacts with it. To do that, let's go ahead and give this a collision. It doesn't really matter which one we do here. And then we're going to do begin overlap. And once the player overlaps, that's when we want to actually affect whatever the power up is going to affect. So for now, let's get rid of that. We're going to cast this to a variable up here. Promote to variable. Let's go ahead and rename this to power up type. And once this overlaps, then we'll go ahead and get our power up type. And if that power up type is time, then we're going to affect the global dilation. For now, it's going to do it once it goes in here. We'll change that after we test this. So now that we're in the sphere, it slowed down. Let's do that again and stay away from it this time. We're staying away from it. The other one is crossing into the sphere, so let's actually edit that sphere. The best way actually to handle this would be to add an interface so that it's only our player that can interact with it. We're going to need to do this anyways. I have an interface from a different series, which if you haven't checked out, you should check out. However, we're going to create our own for this. So come into here, we're going to go to blueprints and we're going to do a blueprint interface. And we're going to say item interface. For now, we're not going to do anything with this other than have an interface. Go back to our item. Here we're going to say does do get player pawn does implement interface. Go ahead and select our interface that we just created, which was item interface. If this is true, so go to branch. If this is true, then it'll continue on with this. So for now, It should be just our player that's allowed to interact with this on the overlap. So go ahead and save that. Let's go test again. Now the other actor object item shouldn't cause us to slow down, and it doesn't. But if we walk over into it, it it looks like I forgot to attach the interface to my character. So we're going to go to character, the character blueprint, the Sand of Man. So we're going to attach it to class settings, implement interfaces, and we're going to look for that item interface. Go ahead and add that. We'll go test again real quick. Let's do it this way. Change that to our item interface. Doesn't seem to be doing it. Let's go check our collision box. Could be too small. It still seems like it might be the collision box. Um, go into here. Let's do see if we can actually see it. Okay, so it works if I'm in it and it's that big. So let's find a better size for it. That might be too big. And the collision box is not moving. So what we actually need to do is put the collision box inside the item. Another silly mistake. We just weren't even getting to the collision box. It wasn't falling with the item. Now it does. And when we move into it, we freeze time. Silly mistakes. You got to watch where you put your collision boxes. Make sure it is actually attached to the item. Another thing we did was we don't actually need to get player pawn. We can check what actors are overlapping with this and then check if the interface is implemented. Now what we want to do is handle other power up types. So if we go into get power up types, since this is where we're handling this logic, we can actually do um, a switch on this. Let's get rid of this for now. So if power up is equal to time, we're going to have it affect the time. If it's equal to color, we're going to get the player material, and then we'll set the mesh material color to something different. And if we collect, we're going to add a collect. Let's go ahead and make a new variable. that we'll just call collect. It'll be an int. We're going to increase this one at a time. So if we'll start at 0, we'll get its current. If it's this, then we're going to let's just say set this to this plus and for now we'll just do 1. Go ahead and compile save. Go ahead and connect that up. Don't want to forget that. And for now, let's actually just take the item and we'll set that material and then we'll work on implementing it with the player material in a minute. So let's do set material. And if this works, let's set it to something that we don't have. Just do a weird color like that. So let's go ahead and check the second one. In our item data table, it was the binoculars that changed the color, which is item 3. So let's change this to item 3 real quick to test that one. And that changes those. You see the new ones that come down are still blue, but once we interact with them, they change colors. And then you can kick them across the map. As far as adding these to our player's collectible count, I actually messed up. We don't want to do this here because this is per item. We want to store the collectibles in our actual player. So for now, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to create another interface to handle these. The interface that I'm using for the item interactions, if I implement that with this item, then when the items interact or cross or collide, they'll think that they are my actor just because the way we have this set up. So quickest, easiest way to do this will be to create another interface. You can't have too many interfaces. It's more efficient than casting. So we'll call this collect interface. We are going to have other functions in this one. So let's rename this to collect item. For now, that's okay. Let's go to our item, go to class settings, and then we're going to add this interface as well. Compile and save that. Go to our man, and we are going to the same thing, collect interface. And now for our function for this, well, in our item, actually, let's go to get power up type. And now we have, in our interface, we have collect item. If we go ahead and drag out of here, say collect item. When we interact with this, it'll run this interface. If we go to our man now, go ahead and create a new variable. And this is going to be our collectibles. Call it an int. Compile save. And when in our collect interface, let's go ahead. When this is called, we're going to get the number of collectibles, which is starting at 0 for now. And then we're going to set collectibles and do the same thing here. This isn't going to be there. Do an add. We're going to add one to each. It'll get its current number. It'll add one. And then it'll be done. Let's go ahead and give our player a way to display this number. Let's go over to viewport, grab that mesh, add a text render for now. In a later episode, we'll work on creating a HUD and adding that number to the HUD where we can display health and items picked up. For now, let's go ahead and pull text render out. Say set text. And connect this directly. It'll take care of the integer to text for us. And the other thing we have to do is go to our item. And since this is going to be for the collect item, let's check. That is item 1. So let's go ahead and change this to item 1. So we should hopefully see the number above his head change from the word text to a number. Before we do, I don't know that I moved that up, nor did I move it around. Let's go 90. Text, let's change it from the word text to 0. Compile, save. That's not it's either within the interactions or something in my item that is not set up correct. Oh, this is it. So for the collect item, I actually have to have a target. It can't target itself because we're actually targeting the player since that's where this function is taking place in the anim main character. Let's go ahead and remove that for now. Let's do get pawn. And then let's do collect item. So this sets that to hit my player as a target. Let's go ahead and compile. Now if I go collect this, once I cross, I get 1. Another one drops down 2, 3. So now you see it working for each one. Unfortunately, I can actually re-interact with these, which could be what you want, but typically that's not it once you pick up an item. So let's go into our item. After this has been collected, we want to no longer allow it to interact. These are each going to be kind of a one-off interaction for now. So let's do I can either do a do once here, or I can destroy the item altogether. Since some of the items were having changed colors, I don't really want to destroy the item. So for now, I'm just going to do a do once, and we're not going to reset it. So that way, we cannot interact with the same object more than once. So if I leave 2, these no longer give me anything. If I can come over here, see I've already interacted with this one and these ones. So that's a good way to interact with them only once. We might want things that we're collecting to disappear though. So let's go ahead and go into our item again. For after we collect this, we now want to say destroy actor. And this will destroy self. So once we interact now, it should disappear. Adds one and disappears. So now we're collecting these. Let's actually show this off by throwing our random back in. Let's go grab these. This way we can see all the different items that we can interact with. Let's go over to this. Let's show the time off a little bit differently. If this slows us down, then everyone's going to slow us down. One way that we can do this is let's do it a little faster. If we interact, it's only going to allow us to do it once. So we can let's come in here and for time dilation, can I do a random float? Random float and range, and let's do it from a 0.1 up to let's say a 5. Still gonna do a 0.1. That's pretty slow. So let's do like a 0.3. So now our time dilation will give us a random in between these, either really slow or really fast. Our item that is changing colors is still just changing colors on the item, which is fine for now. And let's go ahead and check this out. Normal speed, little randoms, interact with those, change my speed, and we see the binoculars they've changed colors. Isn't necessarily what you would want in your game, I wouldn't think, but this is a good way to show off what we've done in this episode. So that's going to do it for this episode. Today, we created a few items that can interact with your player in different ways, whether it's changing colors, adding to a collectible count, or changing the global time dilation. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, found it useful in your own project. Be sure to join me in the next episode where I'll dive into creating a HUD to display various item attributes that update in real time for the player. If you haven't already, please remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more good content coming on the way. As always, happy developing, and I'll see you in the next one.